Oxford from the inside. The good, the bad, but always the truth.
Hi, I'm Grace. Welcome to episode 139 of Oxford from the Inside. The good, the bad, but always the truth. Today we're joined by Luke and Ashley. If you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Luke. I'm a first year PPist at Merton. PP is philosophy, politics, and economics.
Hello, I'm Ashley. I'm also a first year PPE at Merton.
Cool. Welcome to the podcast. Today we'll be talking about Freshers Week and your first term at Oxford. So, regarding Freshers Week, what is it and what do you guys do?
So, Freshers Week is an opportunity 1 week before term actually starts for you to move in, like kind of get to know the college environment and the people around you before you start being pardoned on of essays. Yeah, so we had like events every day. We had our admission ceremony. So all of us, we dressed really like nice. And then we went into the chapel and we had to sign our names into a book, things like that. But then on top of that, we kind of had like general admin, so like fire safety, um, and yeah, just like an opportunity just to get to know like the college environment.
Cool. Um, how did you guys find like the social aspect of Freshers Week?
I guess it was like very nice. It was like much better than I've expected. Because I was afraid that it would be kind of difficult to make friends, but at the same time, everyone's kind of panicky and everyone's kind of worried about making friends and all, and everyone's being super friendly and super willing to reach out. So I guess like social wise, everything's been very cool, very friendly. We've met like a lot of interesting people and a lot of people I've been friends since.
That's really good to hear. And how about like the work-life balance during freshers? Because we have essays in Freshers Week.
I think for us, our lives were a little bit easier. We had one problem sheet to do, and I think it took us about, I wouldn't say 2 hours, 3 hours. So in terms of work-life balance, I think what Ashley and I did, we went to the library, we just kind of knocked it out in one day. But I think generally there are times when like it is quieter. For example, there weren't events on like 24/7. We had like a lot of free time, so we just yeah, I think the work-life balance of freshers is fine, but as long as you just remember that like the work like don't as long as you remember to prioritize the freshers week stuff and not the essay stuff because your first essay is probably not going to be very good anyway. So there's like just
Yeah,
do what you can, but it's calm. Like all the professors they're not expecting like dissertation level. So yeah.
yeah, that's really important to remember to prioritize Freshers Week stuff.
Hmm.
And how did you find the college and uni-wide kind of balance? Like, were there enough uni-wide events so you can meet people from other colleges, or was it quite like insulated within college?
I think the college provides a very nice little bubble to get you bonded with people and basically for example in our college everyone in our year just like knows each other and it's very easy to make friends comparing to doing like everything uni-wide, but at the same time the university like it has so many activities and societies and events going on. So you can just like pick and choose your favorites to go to, and everyone's like very friendly and willing to reach out. So it's actually, I'd say it's actually quite easy to make good friends uni-wide.
Okay, that's cool. In terms of diversity and feeling included and things like that, I think people might be worried. Do you have any like tips or advice on that kind of stuff, or have you experienced any like strategies that societies are doing or colleges doing to help with that?
I think in terms of inclusivity, there were loads of events throughout the week where everyone was invited, and yeah, I think like everyone is in the same boat in the sense that no one really knows anyone else. Everyone's kind of weirded out in this new city where everyone's extremely smart. So ultimately, like you can just go up to anyone, introduce yourself. I think the advice that I would give is just to just remember that everyone is in the same boat and that if you that just to make the first move because they're probably looking at you trying to talk to you as well, but they just haven't quite got the courage yet. Yeah, I mean, since you're an international student, maybe there's a little bit you'd like to add.
Yeah, I think for international students like moving into like somewhere completely new, it is generally helpful like to find your society. For example, we do have like the Asian Pacific like society, and since I am Chinese, there's also like this Chinese Student Society, which I find to be quite helpful to reach out to like internationals and to find people who is like sharing a similar experience with you. So it's actually very helpful in that respect. And for our college, we have this International Freshers Week, as in freshers from like outside UK. We have several days um in advance to move in and to kind of bond with our fellow internationals and to sort of get used to the new environment and all. Um, yeah, so I guess like generally the university as well as our college, like they provide a lot of stuff. So I guess it's just like for us to get good use of them.
What do you think about food?
Food, it is definitely something to get used to. So yeah, eventually like the first week here is just like this scavenger hunt of finding decent Chinese food and stuff throughout Oxford. And that definitely helps with like homesick and stuff. So it is a process, it is something to get used to, but
Mhm.
we're getting there eventually.
Do you guys have any tips for forming meaningful connections with your students, with fellow students during the initial weeks? So this is like moving outside of freshers to first time in general. In particular with Oxford's college marriage system. So there's that pressure to get married and like find that person. Um, how did you find that?
Um, I think in terms of making meaningful connections, I guess kind of linking back to what I said earlier, is that everyone's trying to find that. So just to kind of so what I did a lot was I would invite people to my room for tea. I have, a modest collection of like various teas, and I think, I mean, even now, but as Freshers Week especially, I just invite a lot of people over just to chat. And then, if you find there's like something more there, then like, yeah, I just kind of arrange to meet more often. In terms of college marriage specifically, I do think there was like a decent amount of pressure to get married. I think, at least in my experience, like I kind of saw that various people were getting married quite quickly, and then I went, oh shoot, and then yeah, I mean, I think we both got college married to people that we college love very college deeply. Um, but yeah, I guess I kind of like when I did like propose, I kind of thought about the people that I was, closest with, that I would like that would I would make as like a suitable match. But ultimately, just I think it's important to remember college marriage isn't that deep. Like it's very superficial. It's just kind of funny. And so like, is it yeah, just for the banter, I suppose.
Mhm. How about you, Ashley?
I would say that me and Luke, we both got married under pressure. Yeah, very much so. Yeah. I remember you getting panicky in the library to get
Yeah,
college
I
married.
did, yeah.
Yeah, and for me, it's like I was in the middle of the night. I was sort of coming out of the library. I bumped into two of my friends, and they're like, "Oh my God, we have an announcement to make. We got engaged." And I was just like, going around me, like they're getting married, and I am gonna end up alone. I'm gonna be like the college aunt who's like single. And so like the very next day I just panic proposed, which ended up like very well. I am in very good college terms with my college husband. So yeah, that all worked out well. But eventually, yeah, you're gonna find someone to get happily college married with, and you guys are gonna be in very good college terms. So eventually it's all gonna work out and don't panic. Yeah.
Mhm. There's this thing called fifth week blues where you supposedly get really sad um about the fifth week in, especially because of Oxford's really intense 8 week terms. Do you think that's real? Like, did you experience that?
I think that I think different people feel the blues at different times. I know a historian, for example, who said that they got their blues on like third week because that's just when they end up having the most work. So I guess it's not necessarily that like it will be fifth week blues, but I think most people they did have like a lull in their just like I don't know, motivation to study and just like their happiness, their mental health during that week. But I will say that, it's particularly at Merton, the welfare is really good. They like during fifth week they called it welfare week, and there were like events on every day. We have welfare donuts every week, welfare tea. I feel very lucky to be in an environment where everyone, like genuinely everyone's looking out for each other, whether that be like, the the JCR, so like the welfare helpers, or just like me and my peers.
Yeah, I would say just I guess just like be mentally prepared that it doesn't necessarily have to be week 5, but at least 1 week, you will feel like there's like a lot of pressure coming through, and you would feel kind of upset and depressed like overworking and be like in week 6, week 7, week 2 even, like generally any week. Yeah, so I'd say just be mentally prepared and just remember that, as like Luke said, like everyone's looking out for each other. Um, the college as well as the university, everyone's willing to provide help. Yeah, and eventually you will power through. We'll be fine.
Yeah. And looking back, what aspects of Freshers Week and Michaelmas term in general do you think like helped you get that sense of belonging at Oxford? And do you have any advice for prospective students who are worried about that kind of social aspect?
I think the first moment where I felt like I was really like part of the community was when we just finished our like admissions ceremony, and they were giving out free champagne, which is kind of crazy. Like I've never had that before. Anyway, they were giving out free champagne, and I was just kind of like mingling with like amongst like students, but also the professors. They were there as well, and they were like saying that we could call them by their first names, and like that was quite new to me. And then we go to like formal, like everyone's there, and yeah, I think that was a moment where like I knew that I was part of a community, and that this is like new and crazy for everybody. Um, yeah, just being able to kind of like sit around like these amazing people who are like literally my classmates, and just learn all their fascinating life stories. I think that's when I kind of felt part of this community, that I knew that I was somehow one of those people.
Yeah, my advice is that do not be afraid to reach out to people. Like I basically I get slightly panicky when it comes to reaching out to people in the first place. And there are people who I think um are like so smart and so kind of intimidating and everything. But when I reach out to them, like they seem to be really nice and everything, and turns out like we really vibe along. So honestly, just like reach out to anyone that you want. Everyone would be at least like from my experience would be absolutely so friendly, and you wouldn't regret it. So just do not, overthink it, and don't worry too much about it. And if you want to strike up a conversation, just you can strike up a conversation like in the middle of nowhere. Um, yeah, like everything will turn out to be great. Like in our college, there isn't a one single person who is without a friend or anything. Like everyone bonded over the week. Everyone has like very good friends. So there is just like reach out and no reason to be panicky. Yeah.
Mhm. And you mentioned events that involve a lot of alcohol, like free champagne. Do you have any advice for people who are worried about or don't partake in drinking culture and the kind of like they're not used to the fancy Oxford traditions?
I think there were a lot of events where like what there were non-drinking events. For example, during Freshers Week, there were free club nights, but alternatively, there were like non-drinking alternatives, and they were all really cool. I can't remember exactly what they were, but I remember one of them was ice hockey, and I remember like I think the ice hockey was better than the club that night, to be honest.
I personally don't drink. So for people who's, not drinking, I feel like there isn't anything to be worried about, because I remember when the organizers like they knew that I don't drink, and like people at the JCR knowing that I don't drink, the first thing like they were emphasizing was just like, oh, there is absolutely no need for you to feel pressured or anything. Like it's definitely like an individual choice. You can drink as much or like as less you want, or like just not drink at all. And For me, it's like I can go to club night sober, I can go to Bop sober, I can go to non-drinking events. And it's like perfectly fine. You'll have just as much fun as everyone else. So yeah.
Well, that's really reassuring to hear. And finally, we're gonna just talk about the vacation and the collections afterwards, very briefly. So during the vac, did you actually get to relax?
I felt that I did. I think I definitely did some, like for the first week, I literally didn't do anything. I think I was just sleeping all day. Um, and then yeah, like I did a decent amount of revision. But I definitely did relax. I was able to kind of gain a newfound appreciation for my hometown, Salisbury. And I was able to meet loads of people that I hadn't seen in absolutely ages. And yeah, like I definitely did relax. You definitely have time to. Because like whilst I did have a decent amount of preparation to do for Hilary term, which is the like term two, um, it wasn't like it's not obligatory. Like yeah, in terms of revision, you kind of just do as much as you want to. Like the tutors don't care too much.
Yeah, I would agree. For me, I holidayed more and I worked less. I thought it's gonna be really bad because I weren't that prepared for collections, but for now it's fine. You can definitely holiday. You can get work done. If you feel like you have not like done enough, it's definitely not the end of the day. And do make sure that you do enough work so that you wouldn't be all over the place for collections at the start of the term. But don't overstress yourself about it, and you definitely have time to relax during the vac, and you can get like this work-life balance during vacation.
Cool. And are collections a big deal at all at the end of the day?
No.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I was quite surprised like
Okay.
back how little like all the second years and third years, everyone it just seemed like no one really cared. And obviously we do care
Hmm.
because this is assessing how well we did in the term before, but it doesn't go towards like our final grades. It's just they're just mocks at the end of the day. So yeah, I feel like the first week was actually quite calm. I actually enjoyed like zero week quite a lot.
And comparing, obviously we're only in week one of Hilary, but so far, have you noticed any differences compared to last time?
I think as PPS, Sam Merton, so the first term we didn't have as much work. For example, we only had our first essay, I want to say in fifth week. Hence fifth week, please. Anyway, yeah, so this term we have got a lot more. We had an essay deadline on Monday morning. So I think I felt that difference. I guess another thing has been the weather. It's a bit worse. It's quite cold all the time, especially this year, I think. I think it's been particularly like cold January. Um, but yeah, I think the things that are important stay the same. Like the people are still lovely, the college is still beautiful, and the resources are always still there.
That's all we have time for today. We've learned some really interesting stuff. Thank you so much to both of you for sharing your experiences with us and for joining us at Oxford from the inside. Also, thank you to our followers for listening to this podcast or watching this YouTube video. Remember to follow us on Instagram at Oxford from the Inside for regular updates on our new content. I hope you all stay safe well, and until next time, bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.